A parent faces terrifying stakes when rushing a 9-week-old infant to the emergency room with a dangerously high fever. 3 days later, the crisis was over. The baby was discharged, and by every clinical measure, the medical staff had performed their duties flawlessly. But despite this success, the mother left the hospital feeling that the experience was a failure. Her letter to the staff captures this disconnect. She acknowledges that the health outcomes were fantastic, yet describes the actual experience as less than satisfactory and disappointing. This wasn't the perspective of an outsider. The mother is a healthcare worker herself, and she spent those 3 days evaluating her peers from the bedside. We're going to look through her lens to examine the invisible, toxic culture that often operates behind the scenes in a hospital. Her experience suggests that a successful medical outcome is only half the job if the environment of care damages a patient's trust. Once the initial emergency passed, the family moved to the pediatric unit, where the silence of the room made the interpersonal breakdowns more obvious. The first sign of trouble was interdepartmental badmouthing. ER nurses took the time they spent alone with the mother to complain about the doctor's orders. This blame followed a systemic loop. Pediatric nurses complained about ER staff, and pediatricians criticized the nurses' basic clinical skills. The patient was caught in the middle, forced to be a sounding board for professional grievances she couldn't fix. Throughout this day, the staff relied on a specific, recurring excuse for their shortcomings. "I am so busy today." The letter highlights how this phrase was used to explain why the infant's medications were not delivered on time, shifting the burden of the delay onto the mother. To a parent focused on a sick child, hearing a nurse complain about their workload sounds like a confession that the child is not a priority. When staff treat patients as confidants for their workplace frustrations, it suggests that their own internal friction has become more important than the care they are providing. Beyond the verbal complaints lay a deeper administrative issue, the medical chart, which is supposed to be the definitive record of the patient's status. Despite the chart being available, the mother was asked the same questions about her delivery and the baby's birth history by almost every entering physician. Most of the staff also repeatedly referred to the baby as a boy, despite constant corrections and the information recorded in the paperwork. The mother noted that these gender errors left her with a sense of sloppiness, a feeling that the team was simply not focused on the details of her daughter's case. This administrative carelessness creates a ripple effect. If a team can't get a baby's gender right, a parent begins to wonder if they can be trusted with more critical details, like medical dosages. In a hospital, there are no small mistakes. Sloppiness in the paperwork fractures the patient's belief in the staff's overall competence. The mother isn't writing to attack her colleagues. She's writing as an insider who sees how these small interactions undermine the work they all do. Her letter points to a specific internal problem. While the staff wants to help people get well, the way they treat each other behind the scenes is dreadful. The takeaway is that a medical procedure is only successful if the patient feels safe throughout the process. The environment is just as important as the medicine. Healthcare workers have the individual power to change this. They can choose to interact in a way that builds confidence in the entire team, rather than tearing it down. True professionalism requires protecting a patient's emotional state as carefully as their physical health. Instilling confidence is the only way to fix the experience of care.